Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and
Randy. What is up, guys? Welcome back. We have an awesome episode for you today, so don't go anywhere. In the next 20 minutes, I think we're going to have a real strategy and a plan to help navigate this crazy time of year.
Absolutely. So the title of the podcast today is Intentional Living for Metabolic Health During the Busy Season. Is there anybody out there that has way too much time on your hands and not enough things to do at this time of year? Anybody? By a show of hands? No.
I don't think that's the problem we're actually facing right now.
No.
It seems like, how do I get more time back with all the spinning plates, which can create crazy amounts of stress? But if you're not focusing on your health this time of year, what the heck are you busy doing, Dr. Rob?
Well, you're busy going to holiday parties. You're busy allowing everything to dictate exactly what it is you're going to do. And I think that's why this time of year is, statistically speaking, there's more depression at this time of year. There's more sickness at this time of year. Hospitals are packed. I know from personal experience, my dad's been in the hospital now for, going on almost 8 weeks. And every time that I've gone over there to see him, the hospital parking lot is completely full. And so I think that happens because of not just this time of year. I think if we add it all together, take this time of year, right? So you've got, it almost happens right after Halloween. So right after Halloween, going all the way through New Year's Day is the time of year where people really just take off. And what I mean by taking off, you're no longer doing the things that you would normally do that would promote having a healthier life, whether it be your exercise, your eating, just your mindfulness practices, all those things kind of go out the window. But if you think about, okay, you've got New Year's, and then after New Year's, what do we have after that? We've got Valentine's Day. Okay, let's say
I don't celebrate that.
Let's say you did.
My mom always gets roses.
let's say you did, and you took that off. Well, after that, you've got St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
You've got birthday parties. You've got July the 4th. You've got summer vacation. You've got
Mother's
Easter,
Day, right?
Mother's Day, all
Family
of
vacation.
the things. You add all those days up, and really what ends up happening is you are living about probably 25% of the year unintentionally.
Yeah.
In other words, you're going, okay, I'm going to take a holiday today, but that holiday ends up being 25% of the year.
I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll start tomorrow, which becomes 25% of your life. No wonder the hospitals are full. So we have to talk about being intentional with what it is that we're doing on a daily basis, especially at this time of the year.
Think about what you just said. You said 20 to 30% of your life, you're basically trying to ultimately, it's like trying to kill yourself with all the food and the alcohol and the stress. Well, you think about the body has the ability to live 80 to 120 years in robust, great health. That's just the science. Genetically, we're wired to. Well, no wonder most people are dying in their late 60s, early to mid 70s. That is that 20 to 30% that we're losing over years and years and years of not thinking about this intentionally. And we're not saying you can't have a wonderful time during the holidays. Trust me, Dr. Rob, you and I, we have a great life. We get to do a lot of great things and see a lot of different people and cultures and food. But it doesn't mean you have to check out and then lose that 20%. I'm not willing to give that 20% back. It's mine and I want it.
Absolutely not, because I look at the rest of the years that I have left on this planet, and I want to make sure that I'm enjoying the rest of my life with the people that I love, with my kids, my friends, my family members, everybody else. And so we have to define then, okay, what is intentional living, or what is living life on purpose? What does that actually look like? It's really having a conscious and a deliberate approach to not just your food choices, but having an awareness of the things that you do on a daily basis that promote a healthy life. So what do we mean by these things? And here's the other thing, is that in doing these things, I really feel like at this time of year, it's not just about doing things like you would do it previous to this time of year. I think it's really about this time of year, you got to double down. And you have to double down because are any of you that are listening or watching us right now feeling like stress is less during this time of year, or is it more? So if it's more, you better double down and do more of the things that are promoting a healthier life than actually doing less.
Yeah, and what's ironic about that is when you start to abandon your values centered around your health and how you intentionally go throughout your day, it creates more stress because then you're feeling guilty all the time about not, going for your walk or, going, you've eaten out 7 days in a row and you got a year's worth of seed oil in your belly. You drank too much alcohol multiple nights and days because you just kind of got off track. And now the stress isn't better there. Not only is the physiological stress worse, the mental and emotional stress of it is even more compounded, which is crazy to think. We've got enough stressors day by day. I don't want to create actions and be unintentional and have this stressful environment, especially this time of year when I don't get to see a lot of my friends and family more than maybe 1 or 2 times a year. I want to show up with them and be present, be healthy, be mindful, be intentional, and feel my best versus eating a bunch of crap food and being asleep on the couch right after we eat and not waking up till 4 o'clock in the afternoon going, where did everybody go?
Yeah. So what are some of the things that, that we do to be more intentional about our health? I know for myself, it really becomes about doubling down on things like my prayer life, my meditation, my reading, my journaling, my gratitude. And so if I was meditating once a day or praying once a day at this time of year, I do that 3 times a day. So I meditate first thing in the morning, pray, journal, then do it again in the middle of the day, and then do it again before I go to bed. Because again, there's more stress at this time of year. And I know in my life, I could talk about all the different stresses that I have going on, and anybody that knows me would go, wow, that's a lot, Rob. But the reality is that we all have stresses at this time of life. I'm not, I'm not the only one. And if you feel like you've got a lot of things going on, you're not alone. So that's why I have to double down on those things. And it was interesting today, something that I even added to my prayer, because we had, with the situation going on with my dad, I'm like, okay, as I'm praying through that, it wasn't just about praying and thinking about that. It was really about writing down the prayer and then, literally asking God, okay, what's the answer to this? And then writing down his response back. And it was really cool. The answers that I got back from that I'll share with you later, which is actually super cool.
Can't wait to hear.
It has everything to do with butterflies. And so,
okay. I can't wait to hear. Hey, on that note too, what you're saying, I don't want anybody to miss this. This is really huge. And it really is the embodiment of the happy, healthy life that we live, that we teach on a daily basis. Is remember, some of these stresses, you just can't do anything about them, right? The stress of what's going on with your dad right now, you are literally helpless. There's nothing that you can do about this situation. So the goal isn't to always eliminate all stress. Remember, stress can be good if you adapt to it. So what you're doing there, the journaling, the praying, the affirmations, the gratitude, that helps you adapt better to the stress. And that's really what it boils down to, is how are you adapting to your environment chemically, physically, and emotionally? We always talk about being more adaptable, being less flammable. The tinder is only as dangerous, the spark is only as dangerous as the tinder that it has availability to. So living this happy, healthy life helps create a body and a mindset that is more adaptable to the stresses of this crazy world.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that, because a lot of people, the first thing that they ask me whenever they send me a text anymore is they'll ask me 2 questions. The questions that they'll ask is, how is your dad doing?
Yes.
And then, how are you doing? And it's interesting now because as far as he's not doing great, and that's my answer to that, is he's not doing great. Definitely pray for him. I know his body is healing. However, I'm like, I'm doing great personally.
Yeah.
And they're like, how are you doing great personally? It's because of that adaptation and how my response to that, because I also know that one of the things that we always talk about is being purposeful with everything that we do. And if our purpose is to empower and equip others to live a life on purpose when it comes to their health, we have to be an example of that. So I also want to be an example to my family. I want to leave a legacy behind for my kids. So I want them to be able to see that as well. And knowing that, that also means that I've got to make decisions for the family. So I have to be at my best. And so I think that's huge. And so that's how I can be, doing really good at this time in the midst of things that are difficult, right?
Yeah.
And so I know for myself, and we'll talk about, what are some of the things that you can do metabolically speaking, and how is it that, like, as I'm reading through the comments right here, because I'm sure a lot of the listeners of the podcast want to know, okay, how in the world can I actually lose weight during this time? One of the folks, one of our clients says, I made it through Thanksgiving only having gained 0.8 pounds. And then a 4-day camping trip this weekend where now I am down 1 pound from my set point. So if those of you who are listening, what we do is we teach how to be able to create a new metabolic weight set point. Everybody's got this weight set point. What is that, right? So if you could explain what a weight set point is to everybody that's listening, Randy, because everybody has one, you just may not know what it is.
Yeah, no, this is really, this is the thing that you want to understand about your weight and about your health is everybody has a metabolic weight set point. And if you're saying, well, I'm not sure what mine is, a lot of you in our group know, but if you're listening on the podcast, you're thinking, well, what is my weight set point? It's really the weight, no matter what you do, no matter what you eat or how much you exercise or whatever time of year it is, when all the dust settles, it's right where you land. And you know that number, and it seems like it's impossible to get that number to change. And so everybody has a metabolic weight set point. As you guys know, we call that your thermostat. If you understand a thermostat, you set your thermostat in the house. Doesn't matter what's going on the outside, that temperature will be regulated. And that's exactly how your body works metabolically. I talk about this a lot, Dr. Rob. It's a zero-sum game. So what does that mean? It doesn't matter necessarily how much you're eating or how much you're exercising. Remember, you've got energy calories, you got fat, and you got carbs, and then you have nutrient-dense calories, which are protein, okay? And it doesn't matter if you cut your carbs, increase your carbs, lower your fat, eat more fat. At the end of the day, that zero-sum game says, listen, I'm going to keep you at this weight set point, even if you start throwing in exercise. And a good example of this is there's a tribe in Africa called the Hadza, and they are known for hunting and gathering. They have some of the most robust health in the world. They don't have chronic illness disease. They don't have obesity. And they live a very high quality life, 80 to 120 years. But they wake up every morning and they start to hunt and they start to gather. So they're very, very active. And they eat only real food, organ meats. They eat raw honey. They're eating animal fats, animal proteins. So you would think, as active as they are and as healthy as they eat, their metabolism would be what? Higher or lower? Well, you'd think their metabolic rate would be super, super high. And the reality of it is they have lower metabolic rates than Americans living the standard American diet. Now think about that. They're walking all the time, miles and miles a day, hunting and gathering, eating real food, yet their metabolic rate is lower. What that's telling us is that if you're somebody who's doing the right things and you're cutting calories or you're eating real food or you're exercising more, it doesn't matter what you do, your metabolism is going to calibrate to your level of activity based off your metabolic weight set point. So how could they have a lower metabolic rate than the average American? It's because it is a zero-sum game. Having a strong, robust metabolism isn't about necessarily how many calories you burn. It's about where does your body put that based off your daily needs, how much you move and how much you eat. So think about that for a second. During this time of year, how would somebody like Margie, who you just talked about, go into the holidays, travel all around, maybe eat things she shouldn't have eaten, and maybe have a couple of alcoholic drinks? I'm not saying Margie drinks. I don't know if she does or not. Maybe I'm projecting, and still come out of this thing at a lower weight. That is a strong, robust metabolism. And that's where you have to flip the entire way of thinking. It is not calories in, calories out. It is 100% Does your metabolism work? Does it burn calories? What do you do with the food when you eat it? Do you burn it or do you store it?
Yeah, and what she said was, as she was gone and on this camping trip, she actually lost a pound, and she even says that, she goes, I didn't eat perfectly. And that right there, what that means is that Margie has metabolic flexibility.
Yes.
In other words, her body can be able to go back and forth between fat burning and burning sugars or carbs for fuel, because our body is now efficient. And I know when my body was not efficient, my weight set point for me, I remember the number like it was yesterday, was 189 pounds, no matter what it is that I did.
I do. That was totally your weight set point.
I could get to 180, but as soon as I stopped being perfect, it would go right back up to 189 every single time. And I think many of the listeners can relate to that.
Yeah.
And what they're waiting for is for this time of year to be over so that they can be able to get to that New Year's resolution so that they can go, okay, yeah, I may have gained that, that extra 5 or 10 pounds, but I know what to do by decreasing calories to get back to my metabolic weight set point. So they're going the opposite direction.
Do what?
Decrease calories.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Right. Which is called a
diet.
You got it.
Yeah. So that's what most people are doing. So let's not go on a diet during this holiday season. Let's be intentional. So let's talk about
really quickly, just so our podcast listeners know. So the reason we're even bringing this up, we have a metabolic program that we teach. It's a 2-month protocol that's designed to heal your metabolism, create a whole brand new weight set point, a new thermostat. That way you're not still dealing with the same 20, 30 pounds over and over in this crazy merry-go-round, basically caloric restriction, crazy exercise, this total lifestyle where it's like, man, it doesn't matter what I do, I still get stuck. That zero-sum game that we're trying to talk about. So for our audience who knows about this, you've done it. For those who don't know, it's very, very important to realize that you're stuck probably because you never, ever healed your metabolic profile and you have a really crappy, for lack of a better word, weight set point.
Yeah. So if you don't want to guess and you don't want to figure this all out on your own with that program, shameless plug, go to h2thinvirtual.com.
We don't sell anything on the podcast.
Yeah. h2thinvirtual.com. Go there and check that out. And you can be like everybody else who's on here listening now. So let's talk about the connection between intentional eating and metabolic wellness at this time of year. So what are some things that the listeners can be able to do? And even our clients who are watching right now, who have already gone through a round of our metabolism program, what are some things that we can do to be intentional at this time of year to improve our metabolic wellness?
Great question.
Okay. So let's talk about foods. What are some foods that we can make sure that we're eating in order to be able to improve metabolic wellness? What about, because here's what a lot of people automatically do. They'll go to the holiday party and they're going, okay, because I don't want to eat more calories. They're going to stay away from the sweets. They're going to head towards the salad. Okay. So what about vegetables at this time of year to improve metabolic health? What would you say to that?
What I would say is stop counting calories and start counting bioavailable, nutrient-dense food. What are the foods that have the most amount of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and have the most bioavailability? That's a completely different conversation than counting calories. All calories are not created equal. So when you start looking at walking around the Christmas party or at the party that you're at and you're looking to make a good decision, I don't know that, go into that. What's that one tray that's got all the raw veggies? It's got like the raw broccoli, the raw cauliflower, the raw carrots,
the one that came from Costco.
Tomatoes. Exactly. And it's
with
like
that weird ranch dip in the middle.
Yeah, which is laced with seed oil, by the way. For a fact, I don't ever stick any type of food dipped into any sauce that I don't know what's in it.
It's more like melted plastic. I don't even know what that stuff is. But anyway. Okay.
But yeah, you're just thinking, I'm just going to go low cal. I'm going to eat my veggies. Although eating all those raw cruciferous vegetables, your gut is bloated and you feel horrible and you're still not satisfied. So really focus on the more nutrient-dense foods, which are going to be your animal fats, your animal proteins. Those are always going to be available there. Skip the sauces. And when you eat real-based, animal-based nutrition, you're going to get full. It creates satiety. So just keep that in mind. Another quick tip to that, before you go to the party, do a couple of tablespoons of the world's greatest short-chain triglyceride oil. I think it's the world's only short-chain fat. Take a couple of scoops of SCT oil. That will trigger
SCToil.com, shameless plug.
Once again, another shameless plug, SCToil.com. But no, on a serious note, we developed that oil. In fact, SCT stands for sugar cravings terminated. When you put short-chain fats in, you support your gut, you create signaling to your brain that's going to have your body creating more of a full feeling, and you're going to crave more of the healthy foods like the proteins and the good fats. So that'd be a quick tip there as well.
I was trying to think of something else that would be a good acronym for SCT. For some reason, like
I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Sexy came up. Sexy community, sexy communicated, sexy community transformed.
But we're already transformed if we're already sexy.
Well, I'm talking about our community is super sexy. Sorry, I'm completely way off.
We're going to have to go back and revisit the acronyms on SCT. I don't know that that's going to be official one that we're going to use. I do like short chain triglycerides and sugar cravings terminated. But yes, don't just use SCT oil as just any fat, guys. It has very therapeutic benefits. When you're talking about a vitamin, it's really your multivitamin, A, D, E, vitamin K2. It is loaded with these short chain fats, butyrate, acetate, propionate. These all work with your gut, your immune system, and your brain to keep you full and to help you have tons of energy. It's another quick tip there.
Okay.
A couple of tablespoons will go a long way.
Okay, I was down 1 pound the day after Thanksgiving, Chris, in our group. That's
nice
never
job,
happened
Chris.
before. Congratulations, great job. Okay, what about, all right, so you're at the holiday party at this time of year, and what about the charcuterie board?
You know, the charcuterie board, I usually find my way over there because I'm wanting to eat things that have more nutrients. So a good charcuterie board can go a long way, getting some nice cheeses, which we, guys, you know, we are a big believer in raw cheese. If you can get access to it, a lot of times, I don't know that the charcuterie board may have the raw cheese, but cheeses have a lot of special proteins, good source of calcium, good source of protein. And obviously the animal meats there are going to create the satiety that we're talking about, so you're not starving. So I do like to find the charcuterie board. I always count on my my cousin Hugh to show up. He kills, he's a big deer hunter, and he always shows up with deer summer sausage, and it is my favorite. So if you can find Uncle Hugh or Cousin Hugh to bring that to the party, that's really great. But if it's not going to be there, why don't you bring it to the party yourself? A lot of times if I'm going to a party and I don't trust what's going to be there, guess what I'm going to bring? I'm going to bring my own stuff to the party. And then make sure I get there before everybody else does.
Yeah, absolutely. I always make sure I bring, I always have trace minerals. Are you guys like that? Trace minerals, bring it with you. I know our clients are. Absolutely. You can get that at thehappyhealthylife.com. Shameless plug. All right. I'm full of them today.
And on the trace minerals, guys, remember the trace minerals are really going to help create hydration. If you are drinking any alcohol, which can cause dehydration or too much coffee, the trace minerals are going to provide these key minerals that you're going to need to make sure you're absorbing and getting water into the tissue. Plus, remember, trace minerals also provide a nice mild detoxification, moving heavy metals out of the body, along with that detoxifying clay that's a part of our product. So definitely, we don't go anywhere without trace minerals. I can't even drink water or drink coffee any longer without putting the trace minerals in. There's something about how that works with our body that goes a long way with, once again, creating satiety, absorbing nutrients, and feeling full.
Yeah, it's something that you can do as well. If you are going to a holiday party, if you're putting in the short chain triglycerides into your coffee, here's something that's really great. Here's a trick, okay? Is as you're drink that before you go to the holiday party. And the reason being is because it helps with satiety. It makes you feel full. And it also, like he was saying, it decreases those sugar cravings. So you're going to be a lot least likely when you go to that holiday party to want to get all the sugary foods that are there. So simple trick that you can do. And as we're talking about that, because I'm thinking about these holiday parties right now, what about the nuts and the seeds? Dr. Randy, what would you say about that?
Yeah, that's where you can really get in trouble with getting just tons of just like calories that really aren't that nutrient dense. I know we've been told something else, right? That how could nuts and seeds not be the healthiest things in the world to eat? I guess if you were a squirrel, then you would be in a great situation to show up at a party with nuts and seeds, or a bird. But we are not a squirrel. We are not a bird. Those nuts and seeds are the highest in PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are already unstable to heat, light, and oxygen. And then on top of that, if they're roasted, now they've been heated and you've completely broken down that PUFA, that linoleic acid that is very highly oxidated now. So now you're putting tons of free radicals into your body, causing inflammation. And pound for pound, you can go through a pile of nuts very quickly and get all those PUFA into your system Not to mention, remember, the nut or the seed, that's the DNA of the plant, and it does not want to be eaten because it wants to continue to grow year after year. So it has a ton of defense chemicals, anti-nutrients, specifically phytic acid, which will chelate key minerals like zinc, calcium, magnesium. So avoid the nuts and the seeds. They are not superfoods unless you are a squirrel. Don't forget that.
One of the things that I do love about this time of year is that with holiday foods tend to be cooked with a lot more things like cinnamon, which can actually help to be able to aid with your metabolic health, decreases inflammation, which is good. Same thing with ginger as well. And so those are good things. You can add it to your tea, help to be able to speed up your metabolism, help with your metabolic rate. That's also really helpful for those of you who already have a healed metabolism or even gone through the program in order to be able to maintain that. But also for those of you guys who have not, you know what, look into it, but make sure that you've got intention with what it is that you're doing. And somebody even said with the program here in the chat, as they said that I absolutely love this time of year now because it's showing me exactly what I can be eating, and it decreases the likelihood of me actually cheating because now there's structure that comes along with it. I love that too.
Yeah.
I love doing our program at this time of year because there is structure. I don't have to wonder about things, you know, so that's always a good thing too.
Yeah, it was cool. I ran into one of our clients yesterday. I was doing a walk. I was walking after my meal, which is obviously a great thing to continue to do this time of year. Once you've eaten, you're probably not designed just to sit down in front of the TV. Get up, go for at least a 20-minute walk at a low intensity, a zone 2, where it's 180 minus your age would be your max heart rate. That creates insulin sensitivity. It gets your body moving. But I was on that walk and I ran into one of our clients with him and his wife. And he goes, man, here's the one thing I appreciate about you and Dr. Rob. You guys are always on point. He goes, I'm not shocked at all that I would see you walking or run into you at the grocery store and look at your cart and see what's in there and knowing that you're living what you're preaching. So remember, all of you listening now who are clients, y'all are under the microscope. When you show up at the Christmas party, when you show up at the family event and you're looking great, you've lost the weight, it's okay if they don't understand why you decided to live this way. Don't let them make the statement like, yeah, they're opening up chips. Yeah, I won't offer any to you because you always like to eat healthy. You got to say, you know what? Thank you. I do eat healthy because I care about my health. I care about the things that matter. In fact, that's a good conversation starter. Why are you eating those chips? So anyway, don't be bullied. You are under the microscope. But when you give people permission to do the right thing and to honor God with their body, I'm telling you, set people free. And you have them asking certain questions about themselves because the proof is in the pudding. You show up looking great at the party. People are going to want to know what you did.
I tell you, one of the things that we love most about what it is that we do is our community. And I think one of the reasons that we love our community so much is because there's accountability in that. Just like you said, we have an accountability to you guys.
Yeah.
I know I have an accountability to you as well. And it's interesting because if I say something on the podcast, it really makes me think about what it is that I'm doing when I'm out there. I think one of the things that I said before is even in November, not consuming alcohol, right?
Right.
And so for me, you know, and that's one of the things that I didn't know any of the stuff was even going to happen with my dad, but decreasing and not doing that has really helped me to stay really clear. And I had no idea that that was going to happen with him, but it's helped me with that. But it's also got me thinking a lot more intentionally going, okay, I know that if it's Sunday and I'm going to be preparing for the podcast or working and doing those things, I want to be as clear as possible. So it's really kept me going and being a lot more intentional about that as well. A lot more disciplined with that. So if you want to stay accountable, tell everybody around you what it is that you're doing, because that'll keep you accountable because they're going to be watching you. Don't tell the person that actually drinks more than you do because they're not going to hold you accountable. They're going to be a terrible voice of reason for you. Same thing with, you know, if you're eating better or changing the way you eat, don't tell that person that you know eats terribly. Don't tell that person because they're going to want to bring you down. So that's why we have the community that we do, because you guys can be able to stay in the community. And I'm even watching in the chat as we have new members in our community on, and I can see the rest of the community members are talking to her and helping her with the questions that she has, which is why I love what it is that we do. So I do want to talk about this. You guys don't want to miss next week. Next week, we're going to have a very special episode we're going to be doing our episode from Miami. And so we're going to be in Miami. We are going to have, we're going to do 2 episodes next week, record 2 episodes. One of those will be where we're at in Miami. The second one's we're going to actually have one of the leading experts in metabolic health who we're going to be interviewing, and he's going to have us on his podcast as well. That's one of the reasons why we're going there to Miami. And so you don't want to miss that, because he is unbelievable. Yeah. One of the smartest dudes I know when it does come to metabolic health. He's become a good friend, and I'm super excited to sit down with him and have that conversation.
With him a little bit, because it'll get scientific.
It's going to get super nerdy between you guys. I don't even know how.
It's going to be fun, but then you'll be the guy who can go, you know what these guys just said is this.
Exactly.
But it's going to be so good. So do not miss it. The conversations that are going to open themselves up in that discussion is going to be super vital, which is going to benefit each of you. And those of you listening on our podcast, I think you're going to be super excited about hearing this interview.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we should talk about next week, to tell us if you would agree, is one of the questions that we even get at this time of year is, how in the world how do I make sure that I'm getting better sleep at this time of year? And what can I do to make sure I'm getting better sleep?
Yeah.
And also, when should I be eating my meals at this time of year as well? It's like everybody's schedule gets really crazy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those things for better metabolic health. We'll bring those to you. Everything that we're doing right now is being intentional as we move into 2024. But here's the thing, 2024 is not here. Okay. No. We are still in 2023, and every single second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week that goes by till the end of the year counts.
Yeah.
Let's make this life count as we're here to continue living the happiest, healthiest life possible.
Yeah. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the moment. We already know nothing's guaranteed in life. Why are we always in such a hurry? Sometimes, even if you're stuck in a traffic jam, just sit there and be like, you know what? Why do I have to be here at this time? Maybe there's a reason why I'm here, and appreciating the moment wherever you are, being intentional with that mindset. So it's a great way to end the podcast today and jump into the Q&A. So we love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of the Happy Healthy community. And once again, next week, do not miss some pretty exciting conversation is going to unfold with 3 guys who care a lot about each of you and care a lot about the world of metabolic health. So you don't want to miss it.
Yep. So like it, share the podcast, share it with others, and rate it, review it. That helps us more than you could ever know. And we love and appreciate you.
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life, or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.